Hello and welcome back to the next part of the tutorial series. I'm going to save this as Lofthouse 4. In this one, we're going to talk about organizing your model and adding textures. So the first thing we want to do is, because I can go into this and I can turn on hide the rest of the model, and then I can do that with both ones. But there's actually another way that's going to be a little bit more flexible. And that's to add various components of your model to different layers. And in most 3D modeling programs, this is called layers. In SketchUp, it's called tags. So we're going to tag these. Now, right now, these entities, so if I click on the first floor and go into Entity Info, it doesn't say anything about the component. It says what the component is, what its definition is, and then you can actually name the instance of it. But it's untagged. So that's the current tag that it's on. So I don't have any other tags defined. So what I'll do is I'll go into this one that looks like a little tag icon, and I'll add a tag. And let's close this one out. And I'm going to add two tags. I'm going to add one for first floor, and I'm going to add one for second floor. Now, right now, these aren't allocated to any of these tags. So what we'll do is we'll go into Entity Info and click on the first floor and say, hey, first floor, you're now first floor. Click on the second floor, and then define it as second floor. Now, let's close Entity Info. And with this on, we can click on an eyeball and make various parts of our model disappear. Anything that's tagged as a certain thing will vanish. And what's cool is you can actually define multiple tags for different components, so that you could have all of your windows on both a first floor tag, but also on a window tag. And I'll show you how to do that. So in general, when you're drawing new geometry, you're drawing it untagged, and that's good. That is how it should be. And then after you've defined it as a component, then you add it to a tag or layer to create a sort of organizational hierarchy for your model. So this is something that we can do. How we use this is we use this in our scenes. Oh, and I forgot. Hang on one second. I forgot that I had already defined some scenes. So let's define these scenes again. A good idea is to get one good overall picture of the house. So here's our kind of the house zoomed out. Everything is visible. And then in the scenes tag, so this little thing looks like that clicky thing that they use in a movie direction. And we will this should be 35 degrees. So for a nice, fairly narrow field of view, I like to add the 2-point perspective because it's, I don't know, I'm not entirely sure how 2-point perspective works. It seems to be a nice dramatic shot of the house. And then we click this plus here to add a scene. And we're going to just call this one overall. Now, by default, scenes include everything about it. So this is, and all the geometry, all the tags that are active, things like that. So let's do another one, and I'm gonna rotate around just to kind of demonstrate how this works. I'm gonna get kind of a more dramatic, like ground floor, standing on the ground look at the house. So here, and I'm going to make the field of view a little bit wider. I'm gonna say 65 degrees. So what that means is your camera has a wider lens, and you'll want to use a 65 degree angle when you're looking at interior spaces, because it makes it, you can see things better. You can see more stuff. So when you're inside and it's cramped and you're kind of maneuvering the camera around, it's really nice to have that wider viewing angle. So we'll save this one as 65 degrees, just as a starting point. Now here's something kind of fun. We can also use scenes in another way. Let's say we go into our tags and we select the second, let's make the second floor disappear. And now let's close our tags again, add a new scene, and call it just first floor. But for this one, we don't necessarily need the camera angle preserved. So in this one, we won't include it in any animations, and we'll turn off camera location. So the camera location will not be part of this scene. It'll just be the things that are available. So now if I want to quickly just get rid of the second floor, I can hit the first floor scene and the second floor will disappear without moving the camera. Let's do the same thing with the second floor. Let's go under tags, make the first floor disappear, and then add a scene for the second floor. Second floor, and we will not include it in the animation, and we will not preserve the camera location for that scene. So there it is. Save our progress. So now we have a few scenes defined. If you look at the overall, and then what's cool is when you click on another one, it animates a smooth transition to the next one. This is called keyframe animation, and it's pretty slick, and we'll use it to create kind of like a video tour at the end of this thing. And then if I ever want to delete a particular floor or look at some other part of the model, this is how I do it. And okay, so the next thing I want to do is talk about texturing. So let's get rid of the first. Let's just have the first floor active, and we'll close this out. Now, one of the things you want to do when you're texturing, so this is the paint bucket tool, and when you select the paint bucket tool, you get this menu. It gives you some stuff to kind of start with, but let's say we want hardwood floors. They don't give you a whole lot in the free version, but it's actually enough to be getting on with. So down here at the bottom, we've got wood. These are our various wood textures. I'm just going to pick one that I kind of like. And then we'll go into, you want to get into the component, because if you don't go into the component, here's what happens. It just textures the entire model, which obviously we're not wood paneling the walls. That would be crazy. I undid that. We'll click into it, and then we'll just select the floor. Now, we want to know, let's say, how much floor are we going to be doing? Check this out. If you select just this face, you can actually see that it's 1,368.46 square feet. It actually tells you exactly how many square feet it is. And what's cool about this is if I can also see how many square feet there are on the second floor as well. So I can go into the second floor, click on this, go to entity info, and see it's 341 square feet. Just a little side note, this is pretty handy. This is a surprisingly useful tool when you're working on this. Just checking on something. I wonder why this is in. Why did they put this into braces? Because I didn't do that. Anyway, so let's go into our first floor scene, and then we want to add, and double click to get into the component. We want to add a texture to the floor. Now, if you do this, I don't know why it's not working. Paintbrush, wood floor. Oh, there we go. It's going to add it to all the connected floors. Now, this is not something you probably want, actually. Oh, you know what? I missed a header. I'm going to draw that in wrong. So, we don't necessarily want to draw our floors in every single... We don't want to have the same floor in every single room. So what we can do is we can actually draw little borders here. So, well, this closet can have the hardwood floor, so we'll leave that there. But this little utility room might just have some tile or something more robust. And so what I'll do is I'll just draw a line across that, and then it's going to draw on a surface. But we just want this line here. So we'll do a line. It's going to draw in that surface, but you can just select it and delete it. And then we'll go through the rest of this. The closet can have the same flooring. The stairway doesn't matter. The bedroom might be carpeted or something. And so we draw lines there, and that kind of defines the extents of just this surface. So this surface, now with it selected, we can go back to entity info, and we can see this is only 860 square feet that are going to be just done in hardwood flooring. So we'll grab our paint bucket and select and paint just that part, and then we'll see that the flooring is done on just the parts that we had selected. So now maybe in here we can do something like, and you can use kind of whatever textures you want. Just make sure they're sensible, reasonable, like you might actually show this to a client. In here, this is a bedroom, so maybe we'll go with let's go with a carpet, maybe something nondescript. And then maybe in this bathroom, we'll go with some kind of tile. There we go. It's zigzaggy in that little bathroom suite. So what you'll notice is that there's now a dark border here. This border here, you can see it between the two rooms. There is a way to get rid of this. With the eraser tool, if you just erase the line, it's gonna like cause the textures to go in. So you want the line to continue to be there, but you just want to see it. So if you look at the bottom here, it says Shift equals hide when I have the eraser key. So if I hold down the Shift key and then click and drag it across that line, that sharp black line disappears, and I now no longer have that sharp distinguishing line. Now normally you'd have some sort of a transition, I suppose, defined for those you'll have something on the ground to transition between them, to transition between two different flooring materials. But for our purposes, I don't think we need that level of detail for this, especially since we haven't done like doors yet. That's what that looks like. Now, maybe you don't like the way that this texture looks, and you want it to maybe look a little. Check this out. So I'm going to select this face. You want to maybe it's just too repeaty, and you don't see, like, it just seems like it's repeating too much. You want the texture to be a little bit bigger. Check this out. So I use the select tool and select this face, and I right click on it and say, go to my texture and let's play with it. And what'll happen is you'll get these 4 widgets that'll appear. They'll allow you to reposition a texture so that you can, especially if you do like wood planking or something, you can reposition the texture. You could rotate it or resize it. I kind of want this one to be a little bit bigger. So let's go something like that. It looks a little bit better in the bedroom. Instead of like having it really small where it looks super tiled. I like something maybe more like that. And then hit enter, and then your texture will be finalized. You can go here and you can do the same thing. You can make this bigger, position it. You'll get your tools, and let's make this one maybe just a little bit bigger. Make the planks a little bit bigger. Maybe rotate it facing this way, because I think that would be the more logical way to go with it. And each of these is a different tool. You can skew it, like maybe if you wanted those tiles wider or something. Oops, I just undid everything. I think in this room, if you were doing this kind of wood paneling, I think you would want to run it the long way across the room. So you'd want to run it like that. So you'd rotate it by 90 degrees, and then you can skew it. I don't know that I would do that necessarily for this particular texture. It's a pretty rare thing to do, but resizing and rotating are very common operations that you might do on a texture. Hit enter to finalize it. And why don't you carpet and do the rest of the floorings? Just put textures on the floors, get them positioned, get them looking nice, and then we'll meet you back. Okay, so this is what I came up with. I went with some regular, pretty standard carpet textures in here. Down here in the master bedroom, I put something. I don't really like a lot of the ones, and you're pretty limited in the free version of SketchUp. In the Pro version, you can import your own textures from all sorts of different sources just as images, and you can put pretty much you take a picture of your own carpet at home and then use that as a texture in SketchUp if you want. So I used the hardwood flooring in here. I did concrete in here. I did kind of a little carpet in there, and then you saw the tiles in there, and then upstairs I put in this. Oh, and as it turned out, I forgot a header upstairs too, so I put that in for that bathroom. And actually, I should probably divide this out. So let's just do that real quick. Let's do a line here. Delete that face, and we will change this texture to some kind of tile. We'll go with this. There we go. And then once again, we'll take our eraser tool and shift erase these, and then go down to the first floor. I think I probably have a few still. Let's go hide the second floor. Eraser, get rid of that. Shift erase. You're using the shift key to erase those things. Shift and then click it. Shift and drag across it. So anyway, that's our kind of quick introduction to textures and how textures work. Hope you found it interesting. We'll see you in the next one.